Hi, so I just wanted to touch on boundaries. I was never completely comfortable with that word because to me it felt like a wall, felt like it was a boundary is something that puts a barrier between me and the other. And I didn't like the word and what it pictured for me. However, the difference between a boundary and a wall or a fence with blooming what's it called, the spiky stuff, anyway, you know, there's a difference, isn't there? There's a difference in those things. So I've sort of changed over the years, I'm changed how I picture and view it. And so wanted to encourage you, because I started learning about this stuff in 2016 when I looked up how to support my compulsive gambler husband. There'd been a big eruption, things had come to light, and I went into my pattern of behaviour of needing to help, to fix, to support, which I still do, but I do now from a different place. And when I looked at that, it said, when I was looking up how to support, the best thing that you can do is, one, separate behaviour from the addict. That's helpful to understand. The addictive behaviour is a pattern, is a way of behaving that we go to help us overcome, or to numb, or to not have to deal with what's happening within, because sometimes the pain is too great, because sometimes, for the most part, we don't feel worthy, there is lack of self-esteem. However, what I then learned was about codependent patterns of behaviour, codependency, which is also an addictive pattern of behaviour where we get validation from those outside of us. Then, because at some point during our childhood we did something that made our caregivers or someone outside of us, we did something that got a really good reaction and made us feel good, and then it becomes a pattern when we continue to do that and think that that's the way that we find stability, security, safety in ourselves and our own space. And it can go to any extremes. And any addictive pattern is something that we've adopted, that because it makes us feel good. And so when I looked up at that point, it said the best thing that you can do is separate person from behaviour, but the best thing that you can do is take care of you. And that was a complete revelation for me. And along the way then, it's learning boundaries, which is, with someone with codependent patterns of behaviour, is so challenging and so difficult to do when all you want to do is take away another's pain or to make things easier for them. And especially if you're empathic and a little bit more sensitive to what other people have been through, and especially also, like quite a lot of us have, who are on this sort of healing journey, that have had challenging circumstances and been through quite a lot of pain in our own lives. You automatically just don't want anyone else to have to go through that. But that makes our boundaries absolutely crap. And that makes us usually put ourselves at the bottom of the list of care, because you're looking to the other, looking to make things easier and more convenient for everyone else. And then when we're not aware of when we're dysregulated, we become unaware of what's actually happening within us. It's all about making sure that the environment around us is safe and that everyone's happy. And all of these things come from the need to feel safe and secure. And we develop patterns to cope in that time. So our boundaries are crap. And it's not the wall. It's not the wall. It's not don't come near me. It's this is what is acceptable for me. And if that doesn't feel comfortable for me, no thank you. That doesn't feel comfortable for me. Or I'd rather not do that right now. Or I need to take myself away for a moment. Any of those things where you're making a choice for yourself because you're paying attention to what's happening within you first, before seeing that. And usually this sort of mirrors in conflicts when they arise, perhaps with another, or that you see, and again, I'm going to do another video about triggers. But the opportunity to look at that, to notice within that, and that if you just my experience, if you use that as an example, and that in that circumstance I was going through all sorts of uncertainty and pain and discomfort, but what was I doing? The irony was looking up how to support another first. And that's when I learned that I needed to fill my own cup, and that my needs are important first. We also need to understand ourselves and understand how to regulate ourselves in order to be able to support the other. So that's what it looks like, you know, a boundary. I've also realised times where I have closed down, like the boundary almost has become walls, and you know, because the mind chatter, the ego, the brain goes, oh, you know, and the fight or flight response. Most of us have been in some sort of fight or flight response for most of our lives because of the world that we've been born into. But if you can notice in that triggered moment the opportunity to make that choice for yourself, to stop, take the pause, notice what's happening within you. And if you need to have a boundary, you have a boundary, but the boundary is a choice. Any choice that you make for you to bring you back into balance and back into a heart-centered space, even if it's to take a breath into that heart space, fill your own cup up. You're not responsible for anything other than that in that moment. Give yourself that time, and that is going to benefit you and anyone else outside of you. And if you are actually responsible for little people, or, you know, children, if you've got children, I noticed once I started paying attention to what my patterns were and where I had given my power away, and where I was not filling my own cup first, where I was depleted and I had ignored or disregarded myself and not even really paid attention at all to what my needs were. It led to exhaustion, burnout, sometimes bitterness, and feeling the victim of things that were happening to me. This is a way for you to realise that those adults that you might be interacting with are responsible for themselves. You are responsible for you, and you are responsible to take care of you so that you can then care for those around you. So I hope that that might be helpful, and just know that as challenging as it can be, once you start to notice these things, it does get easier, and you're doing an amazing job. And if you've been here to the end, thank you. You are awesome, and I will see you again soon. Loads of love.